Great. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's call. Folks, the facts are clear. There is a crisis at our southern border. It's a humanitarian crisis. It's a national security crisis, and it is a crisis of historic proportions. Today, under the Biden administration, the number of individuals entering our country is exploding. In August alone, Customs and Border Protection encountered more than 208,000 people attempting to enter the U.S. illegally, an increase of 318% during the same exact time just 1 year ago. And the situation shows no signs of improving. By the end of the year, the U.S. is expected to see more than 2.3 million people attempt to illegally cross our southern border. Folks, these numbers are staggering. The men and women that make up our law enforcement on the southern border are overwhelmed. It is a dire situation. We have thousands of people pouring into our country, and the Biden administration is woefully unprepared to handle it. From President Biden's immediate reversal of the former administration's Remain in Mexico policy to their long refusal to even acknowledge the situation at the southern border as a crisis, it is just misstep after misstep that is fueling an increasingly disastrous and dangerous situation. There is no question that our immigration system right now, under the Biden administration, is strained to its limits, all by the crises they created. Properly vetting and processing these individuals is a must. We have already seen extremely concerning issues in the Biden administration's ability to carry out those vetting processes properly. Another key obstacle that we must address immediately is making sure that criminal sexual predators who are seeking to take advantage of our strained immigration system to enter our country are identified, stopped, and if found here, expeditiously deported. Right now, the current laws on the books don't effectively target those who have been convicted of sexual assault and sexual violence. We desperately need to update these laws to make sure we block sexual predators from immigrating to the U.S. Tragically, we've seen horrific crimes committed by those trying to take advantage of our immigration system, including horrendous things like sex trafficking, forced marriage, and even female genital mutilation. Immigrant women particularly have significantly increased vulnerability to recurring sexual assault. The bottom line is that predatory sexual violence cannot continue to go unchecked in our immigration system. We need to make a change. That is why today I am putting forward a bill to block convicted sexual predators who are trying to take advantage of our immigration system from immigrating to the U.S. It's a bill I call the Better Enforcement of Grievous Offenses by Unnaturalized Immigrants Act, or the Be Gone Act. It simply makes sexual assault and aggravated sexual violence a disqualifying act for those seeking entry. It gives our law enforcement the ability to deport those who have been convicted of sexual violent crimes or sexual assault and who are trying to immigrate here. This is a common sense, urgently needed solution to modernize our immigration policies and combat sexual violence and those seeking to exploit our laws. I'm proud to have support on this legislation from several of my friends and colleagues in the Senate, including Iowa's senior Senator Chuck Grassley. Our immigration system is facing massive strains under the Biden administration, with tens of thousands of individuals coming to the U.S. Let's make sure those sexual predators and those who are convicted of sexual crimes can't. And with that, let's go ahead and open up the call to questions.
Thank you, Senator. Shannon with KGAN.
Shannon, are you on mute?
Okay. Phil with KCRG. Phil, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Senator, are we seeing an increase of individuals that have been convicted coming over coming to America?
We have seen instances just in recent months of those that are forcing marriages. They've perpetrated sexual acts on underage females. So yes, we are actually seeing a spike in this. And these issues have been raised, and that's why we are addressing it now through legislation.
Great. Thank you, Phil. Kay Henderson with Radio Iowa.
Senator, yesterday, Senator Durbin said you're part of a group working to reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act. The effort you led failed when Republicans were in control of the Senate. What is different this time around?
Well, it is different this time around, Kay. I continue to work on the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. It is different. The last time I was working on this bipartisan piece of legislation with Senator Dianne Feinstein, and unfortunately, then Democratic leader Schumer had told Dianne not to work with me anymore. They were going to introduce a Democrat-only bill in the Senate. This time, I'm not in an election cycle, and so Democrats are free to work with me again. It's politics that continue to get in the way, but now we feel like we have a path forward where we can bring a bipartisan group of individuals together, not be impeded by Chuck Schumer, continue working on the legislation, and I'm extremely hopeful that we will be able to get it done in this Congress.
Great. Thank you, Kay. Sarah Beckman with WIOI-TV. Or if there's anybody else with WOI-TV on the line. Okay. Rod with the Gazette.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. It seems like this issue has been politically gridlocked for years, and realistically, there's no prospect for change until at least 2025. That being the case, if there's no political will, what will this look like by 2025 if the numbers you cited that are happening month by month?
And thank you, Rod. Immigration and modernization in that area, it is very, very important. What we did see in the last administration was a number of policies that were working to stop immigration and those that were illegally immigrating to the United States from flowing over our southern border. Those policies that have been put in place by President Trump were lifted on the first day of the Biden administration, policies like the Remain in Mexico policy. We would like to see the Biden administration go back to that, but we as members of Congress have a number of suggestions, ideas, and even policies that we have put into legislation that we would love to have Democrats take a look at. It is a tricky issue. I do believe that we need to modernize our immigration system. We know that we need immigration in the state of Iowa to fill our labor pool. So we'll continue working on those issues. As you stated, it is a difficult issue and one that is politically charged. But the first thing that we need to do is stop the illegal immigration over our southern border. That will allow us to focus on the policies of modernizing immigration in the United States.
Great. Thank you, Rod. Kevin with WOWT. Kevin, are you on? Okay.
Sorry, I'll pass.
Kevin, is that you?
Yeah, my question's already asked.
Oh, gotcha. Great. Thanks, Kevin. Stephen Gruber-Miller with the Des Moines Register.
Hi, thank you, Senator. I'm wondering if you have any data on the number of people convicted of these sexual crimes who would be affected by your legislation. And then I'm also curious, you mentioned you had support from other senators. Do you have any support from Democratic senators, and is this an issue, a targeted issue where you feel like you can work across the aisle in this area?
Well, to the first point, we don't have hard data on the number of those convicted of sexual offenses that have immigrated to the United States. But it is an issue that we are realizing now with the incidents that have occurred in the last several months. Which is why we decided to move forward with the legislation. It is pretty impossible right now to go back and scrutinize those folks that have been let go into the interior of the United States without proper vetting. So we need to get a handle on this, and we are encouraging the Biden administration to do that. They have not properly vetted the individuals that are coming into our country. And because of these recent examples that were brought to our attention, I decided it is time to act. And because we do have a dozen senators involved, I think it'll pick up steam. Those are all Republican senators. It is very common sense. And I don't know why we would get opposition to this piece of legislation. As we see with the Violence Against Women Act, it is something that Democrats and Republicans agree on. We shouldn't have sexual predators out there. We certainly don't want to accept sexual predators into the United States if they have been convicted of that violent sexual offense. So we'll continue working on that issue. I will be lobbying hard. I think it should be a bipartisan issue, but because of those recent examples that I gave you, it has risen to the level that we need to make sure that we're not allowing unvetted people into the United States, especially those that have been charged and convicted of a sexual offense.
Thank you, Stephen. Katie Aiken with the Iowa Capitol Dispatch.
Hi, Senator. Thanks for holding this. Also today, Governor Kim Reynolds is headed to Texas to do a press conference there with some other Republican governors. I'm curious if you could talk about your perspective about why the situation on the southern border, how it directly affects your Iowa constituents.
Yes, the situation at the southern border is extremely concerning. As I stated, we have had over 208,000 illegal immigrants cross our southern border just in 1 month. By the end of this year, it is estimated that 2.3 million illegal immigrants will have been allowed to enter into the United States. Just a fun factoid, there are 10 states with less than 2.3 million in population. So this makes every state in our nation a border state. These illegal immigrants, not only are they crossing into the country untested for COVID, which makes it possible to transmit even more cases throughout the nation, but we also see those that, as I mentioned before, are sexual offenders. They are trafficking human beings for sex purposes. They are trafficking drugs that come into the state of Iowa and disrupt our communities. They're trafficking guns into the United States. So this is an issue that every community and every state should be concerned about. This is a humanitarian crisis of epic proportion at our southern border, and that does directly affect every state, including the state of Iowa and all of our communities. So it is important that we address it as a federal government, and it's important that our governors are engaging as well.
Great. Thank you, Katie. Do we have somebody from KMEG on the line? Okay. Just wanted to try one more time. Shannon from KGEAN. KGEAN. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining today.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a good day.